My husband had a secret child. The first time I saw the little girl, she was standing outside my house with a pink backpack pressed tightly against her chest. She looked about 8 years old. Her dark hair was tied into 2 uneven ponytails, and her eyes were red from crying. Beside her stood an elderly woman I had never seen before. "Can I help you?" I asked, keeping one hand on the door. The woman looked exhausted. "Is Daniel home?" Daniel was my husband. "He's at work," I replied. "Who are you?" Before the woman could answer, the little girl looked up at me and asked, "Are you my daddy's wife?" For a moment, I couldn't breathe. I stared at her, convinced I had misunderstood. "Who is your daddy?" I asked slowly. "Daniel Carter. My husband's full name." The woman placed a protective hand on the girl's shoulder. "My name is Margaret. This is Lily." Her mother was my daughter, Vanessa. I didn't recognize either name. "I think you have the wrong house," I said, although the fear spreading through my chest told me they didn't. Margaret reached into her handbag and pulled out a photograph. In it, Daniel was sitting on a park bench with the little girl on his lap. She looked younger, perhaps 5. He was smiling at her with a tenderness I knew well. It was the same expression he wore when he looked at our son. My knees weakened. Daniel and I had been married for 11 years. We had a 6-year-old son named Noah. We shared a home, a mortgage, family vacations, and what I believed was an honest marriage. Yet there he was in a photograph holding another child. "Where did you get this?" I whispered. "Daniel gave it to Vanessa," Margaret said. "He has been part of Lily's life since she was born." Since she was born. 8 years ago. Daniel and I had already been married for 3 years. I opened the door wider, though every instinct told me to shut it and pretend none of this was happening. Margaret and Lily sat in the living room while I made tea no one touched. Lily kept looking around at the family photographs on the walls. Her eyes stopped on a picture of Daniel holding Noah at the beach. "Is that my brother?" she asked. The question shattered something inside me. I didn't know how to answer. Margaret explained that Vanessa had died 2 weeks earlier after a sudden illness. She had raised Lily alone, but Daniel had visited regularly. He attended school events, paid expenses, and spent occasional weekends with her. Those weekends. I thought of Daniel's business trips, emergency meetings, and visits to his sick uncle. I had trusted every excuse. "Why are you here?" I asked. Margaret's eyes filled with tears. "I'm 72. I have health problems, and I can't raise Lily permanently. Vanessa's will names Daniel as Lily's father and intended guardian." The room seemed to tilt. "You expect him to take her?" "He is her father." "And what do you expect me to do?" "I don't expect anything from you," Margaret said softly. "But Lily has already lost her mother. She needs someone." Lily stared down at her shoes as if she wished she could disappear. My anger was not directed at her, but children can feel emotions adults try to hide. She knew her existence had brought chaos into my home. I called Daniel. "Come home now," I said. "Is everything okay?" "No. Margaret and Lily are here." There was silence on the line. Not confusion. Recognition. "I'll be there soon," he said. He arrived 20 minutes later, pale and breathless. The moment Lily saw him, she ran into his arms. "Daddy." Daniel hugged her tightly. I watched my husband comfort his daughter inside the home where he had hidden her existence for 8 years. When he finally looked at me, shame covered his face. "Claire, I can explain." "Can you explain how you had a child with another woman while married to me?" Margaret took Lily into the backyard so Daniel and I could talk privately. He sat on the sofa, but I remained standing. "It happened during a conference," he began. "You and I were going through a difficult time." I laughed bitterly. We had been arguing about money. That gave you permission to sleep with someone else? No. There is no excuse. Did you love her? No. It happened once. And Lily? Vanessa contacted me when she was pregnant. I asked for a DNA test after Lily was born. She was mine. I wrapped my arms around myself, trying to stay steady. You knew for 8 years. Yes. You watched me give birth to Noah while knowing he already had a sister. His eyes dropped. You let me believe you were becoming a father for the first time. I was terrified of losing you. So you lied every day instead. I wanted to tell you. But you didn't. Daniel explained that Vanessa never wanted to destroy our marriage. She had agreed to keep everything private as long as Daniel supported Lily and remained involved in her life. He had rented a small apartment in another part of the city where he sometimes met them. The money he claimed was going into investments had actually been used. Noah was visiting my sister, and I was grateful he wasn't there to witness our marriage collapsing. Do you love Lily? I asked. Yes, Daniel said without hesitation. Does she know about Noah? Yes. Does she know about me? She knows I'm married. So everyone knew except me. Daniel began to cry. I had seen him cry only twice before, when his father died and when Noah was born. Once, his tears would have broken my heart. Now they made me angry. You made me the fool in my own family, I said. I'm sorry. Sorry cannot return 8 years of truth. I told him to sleep in the guest room. For the next 3 days, our house felt like a courtroom. We discussed DNA records, Vanessa's will, guardianship, finances, and the possibility of Margaret caring for Lily temporarily. But every practical conversation returned to one painful fact: Lily needed a home. I wanted to refuse. I wanted to tell Daniel that his betrayal was his responsibility. Then I remembered Lily standing at my door, holding her backpack as though it contained everything she had left in the world. She had not chosen to be born into a secret. She had not chosen to lose her mother. She had not chosen to become proof of her father's betrayal. I agreed to meet her again. We went to a quiet cafe. Daniel stayed at another table while Lily and I talked. She stirred her hot chocolate without drinking it. Do you hate me? She asked. The question hit me harder than anything Daniel had said. No, I answered. None of this is your fault. Mom said Daddy had another family. She said I shouldn't ask too many questions because it might make him leave. My throat tightened. Did he ever make you feel like a secret? She nodded. At school events, he stood far away from the other parents. He never let us take many pictures together. I thought maybe he was embarrassed by me. I reached across the table and placed my hand over hers. He wasn't embarrassed by you, I said. He was ashamed of his choices. Lily looked toward Daniel. I always wanted to meet Noah. You may meet him one day. And can I live with Daddy? I couldn't answer immediately. I'm still trying to understand everything, I said. But we will make sure you are safe. That night, I told Daniel Lily could stay with us temporarily while the legal arrangements were settled. This is not forgiveness, I warned him. I understand. And it does not mean our marriage will survive. He nodded, tears forming again. Lily moved into the guest room a week later. The first few days were uncomfortable. She apologized constantly, for leaving toys in the living room, for asking questions, even for eating the last yogurt. I realized she was terrified of becoming a burden. Noah returned home and stared at her with open curiosity. Daniel and I had decided to tell him a simple version of the truth. This is Lily, Daniel said. She is your sister. Noah's eyes widened. My real sister? Yes. Does she like dinosaurs? Lily smiled for the first time since arriving. I love dinosaurs. Within an hour, they were building a cardboard volcano together. Watching them hurt me in ways I couldn't explain. Their connection was innocent and immediate. They didn't understand betrayal, marriage vows, or secret bank accounts. They only understood that they belonged to each other. Daniel began therapy, and I started attending sessions alone. Later, we went together. He admitted that after hiding the affair, every year made confession feel more impossible. He convinced himself that secrecy protected everyone. In reality, it protected only him. I didn't forgive him quickly. Some days, I couldn't stand to look at him. Other days, I remembered the man I had loved and wondered whether he still existed beneath all the lies. 6 months later, Margaret transferred guardianship to Daniel with regular visitation. Lily remained with us. I remained too, but under new conditions. Our finances became completely transparent. Daniel ended every unnecessary trip and shared his location and schedule. We continued counseling, not because I had decided to stay forever, but because I needed time to determine whether trust could ever grow again. Lily slowly stopped apologizing for existing. She decorated her room with stars, family photographs, and drawings of herself with Noah. In one picture, she drew Daniel, Noah, herself, and me standing outside our house. Above us, she wrote, "My family." I stared at the picture for a long time. Daniel's betrayal had changed my life permanently. I could never return to the woman who opened the door that morning believing she knew everything about her marriage. But Lily had changed my life too. She taught me that an innocent person should never carry the punishment meant for someone else. One evening, almost a year after she arrived, Lily found me sitting alone on the porch. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Of course. Are you going to leave?" I looked through the window. Daniel was helping Noah with homework at the kitchen table. "I don't know what will happen in the future," I answered honestly. "But whatever happens between your father and me, you will always have a place in my life." "Really?" "Really." She wrapped her arms around me. I held her tightly, realizing that forgiveness and love were not the same thing. I was still learning whether I could forgive my husband. But I had already learned to love his secret child. And she was not a secret anymore.